All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Philadelphia Bitcoin Club. And today we have Bill from Bitcoin Island. Thank you for coming out. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. So, Bill, you kind of want to give us a little background into your history and your interaction with Bitcoin and kind of how you got started on your Bitcoin journey. And then you can kind of take us full steam ahead of what everything you got going on at Bitcoin Island. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Sure. Can you let me share the screen? I think you gotta give me permissions.
Okay, give me one second.
So, I think that, my personal story in this is really doesn't matter, but everyone always asks. So I've learned that you just kind of give that. Okay, I just got the share here. And is that showing up now, my screen?
Yep, it is.
Awesome. So like with everyone, it doesn't matter when you first learned about Bitcoin, because sort of like the jump in Matrix, no one ever makes it the first time. It takes the second time. So the second time that I really heard about Bitcoin was I've been living here in the Philippines for 3 years, and I was doing some contracting gig with someone, and just offhandedly they were like, "Hey, do you accept Bitcoin?" And getting money over to the Philippines is a real pain in the ass, quite honestly. And I went through the same journey that I think the world is going through right now. The first time I sent money over here, I used Western Union, and it was slow and it was expensive. But considering I was giving someone literally $10, which here in the Philippines is about 3 days of minimum wage, um, you know, paying the $2 really did not matter to me. But once I got over here and I'm essentially remitting money to myself, that percentage started to really matter to me. So I went through the journey of Western Union to the more modern versions of Western Union, which are just as bad, only online, and a variety of other methods. And finally, this guy that I did a contract with, when he said use Bitcoin, I was like, well, let's give that a try. I'd heard it's good for crossing borders. And thankfully, it was at the beginning of this last bull run when the price was, essentially where it is now. And the magic of number go up technology kicked in for a year. I go down the rabbit hole, and I really saw the utility of Bitcoin simply for bringing money over here to myself. And then as a technical geek, I really went down that road. I'm a little bit embarrassed that it took me as long to find Bitcoin as it did. The first person that introduced me to it was an OG whale. Like, he showed me the PC that he first used to mine Bitcoin. So, I mean, he's a real OG whale. He was complaining about when people figured out that you could use graphics cards to mine and how it cut into his profits. So definitely an OG. And so I kind of heard about it from him. I am a hardcore libertarian that just didn't get on board as early as I should have. But I'm here now, and that's all that matters. So I was posting on Reddit in a Bitcoin forum about how Bitcoin is really good for bringing money overseas, and I was sharing my method for doing it. And Ethan, the founder and CEO of Pouch Lightning Wallet in the Philippines, said, "Hey, have you tried our wallet?" And of course I hadn't, because at that point it was about 2 months old, and I had already set up my method with the dominant exchange here, coins.ph. I didn't have a problem I was looking to solve anymore. But once he pointed that out, it was very clear that his Lightning wallet was even better. For those of you that don't know, Lightning is that second layer on top of Bitcoin that instead of having to wait for 2 or 3 10-minute blocks, the money can be transferred immediately. And so I saw this and I understood that this was going to be a game changer. And as we did a video chat, much like this, we both figured out that the other was very knowledgeable in Bitcoin and was the kind of person that gets things done. So he offered to bring me to Boracay. I was living elsewhere, to see about the feasibility of setting up a Bitcoin economy on this tourist island of Boracay. Boracay is about 10 square kilometers, white sand beach, and it is definitely a travel hub, not just of the Philippines, but Southeast Asia. So I came here with the idea of seeing if it was possible. And after about 2 days, I reported back that absolutely we can turn this into a Bitcoin island. So it went from a feasibility study to find me an apartment study. Got the apartment, went back to the provinces, that is the countryside in the Philippines, and packed up everything overnight. And I was back here a few days later. And we've been going at it, onboarding businesses. We've gotten much more efficient at onboarding businesses. Our first 30 businesses on the island took us about 2 months of walking the beach, trying to find the owners of businesses and getting them onboarded. The last 150 took us about 2 weeks. So we got very efficient, hired some gig workers, and really got it done. And it is a lot easier to onboard businesses when you have that social proof. At this point, when I go into a business, they probably already know another business that is accepting our payment system. And so that makes it much, much easier. And we have now shifted focus from onboarding businesses to onboarding spenders, which is why I'm here today. So all of us want to be there for the revolution. We're not asking you to buy some pitchforks and storm the castle. We're asking you to come to a white sand beach and drink mojitos toes up in the sand and pay for it all with Bitcoin. That is how you are going to support the revolution. And so I want to present our island, and specifically what we say to get businesses to accept, because that is the number one question that I get from groups. I'm sure many of you have tried to onboard a local business or two, and it can be difficult. It can be really difficult. We have the unfair advantage here in Philippines in that our wallet, pouch.ph, has fiat rails. That escape to fiat rails makes this community much, much easier than any of the others. Most of these other communities, they are trying to get businesses to accept, but then they don't really have a ready way to go back out to fiat. Here we do, and that makes all the difference. Now, oddly enough, I expected a lot of people to be showing up to me and saying, okay, here's some sats, I want some pesos. It is the exact opposite. More people come to us with pesos and want sats, and we'll explain why that is later. So it's sort of like training wheels that not a lot of people are necessarily using, but having that escape valve does make it possible. Now, I believe you can see my screen. So this is our island. This is an older screenshot, but each of these numbers represents a number of businesses that accept Bitcoin right there. Right here where the 76 is, that is the center of the tourist area of the island. So most tourists are going to be right there between the 76 and the 62. To give you a sense of scale, that thin part of the island to walk across is about 10 minutes. If you were to land here, taking the ferry across from the mainland, that ferry takes about 10 minutes, and then you get on essentially an electric golf cart. And if you were to go to the northernmost part, that would take you about 35 to 40 minutes on the golf cart. So that gives you a sense of scale of the island. Now, these are the businesses that are accepting Bitcoin right now. The numbers have changed a little as people come in and out of the program, but the percentages are pretty solid. So as a tourist, you're probably looking for like the coffee and tea shops if you're a digital nomad, the restaurants, the bars, maybe the food carts if you're a little bit more adventurous. For the locals like me, the groceries, produce, seafood, and meat are going to be of interest. There's retail with 33, services with 29. And then there's these Filipino convenience stores. They're called sari-saris. These are integral to the economy of the Philippines. And what they are is basically dry goods and whatever they feel like selling in a tiny convenience store. You don't even walk in. There's just kind of a cage. You tell them what you want and they hand it to you and you pay for it there. I think of it as the pantry of the Philippines. A lot of these places are very small. And so rather than having your own pantry, you just go outside and buy what you need from the locals. Everything is priced in very small amounts because there's not a lot of savings here. So you can literally go buy one little satchel of coffee, 1 carrot, things like that. So people treat these as their convenience stores. They also act as mini banks, which is why we're interested in them. For one of the things that they're doing with us right now is no one here has a monthly cell phone plan. They all have pay as you go. And for the unbanked, being able to put money on your phone credits is difficult. So these convenience stores, sari-saris, they have a system set up with the phone businesses where someone can come and give them 100 pesos, that's about $2, and then they give them 100 pesos worth of phone credits, which will last maybe a week. So what happens is these convenience stores will charge 105 for 100 worth of credit. Now they use some really antiquated method of putting money on someone else's phone, but with us, with Pouch, they can just put in the number, choose any of the 7 carriers here in the island, and send that money at no fees. And then the sari-sari is happy to collect 5% on doing that. So when I said people are actually cashing in more than they're cashing out, it's because when they put money on their Pouch account, they call it Pouch money, they can sell it at 5% markup as phone credits. We're also adding bill pay, so a lot of the utility bills here in the Philippines, and gaming credits. So, you know, the kids always want to buy the special sort of magicness on their mobile game. And so they can bring 30 cents and get a gaming credit that way. So these Filipino convenience stores, I don't expect a lot of tourists to use them, but they are an important part of the Filipino economy. You basically cannot stand anywhere in the Philippines without seeing at least one of these within where you're at. They are everywhere. So that is what the economy kind of breaks down as here. And yeah, we've got about 250 businesses. Oops, I haven't updated this. So why did these businesses join in the last 6 months? Well, here is our crew when we were going hardcore, signing businesses up. Carrying a beautiful baby definitely helps with conversion. So I recommend that if you can. And so what we want to talk about is when you walk into a Filipino store like this, what are the words that you need to say that lead to her saying yes and accepting Bitcoin in her store? So what I'm going to give is an idealized interaction, and then I'm going to talk about why we're saying the words that we say. No conversation goes exactly like this, but these are the milestones that we're trying to hit in a conversation. So the first thing that I'll do is say, I'm here on business. Is the owner or manager here? I say that I'm here on business first, because if I walk up and say, I want to talk to the manager, I am already big and scary in the Philippines. I probably got 100 pounds and 1.5 feet on everyone here. And so I don't want to just, I want to talk to a manager. That does not work. So telling them that I'm on business and want to talk to someone is much more important. And second, we are looking for access to power. If I'm talking to someone that cannot say yes, then nothing I say matters. So that is why this first line is here. Now, a little bit of background. Gcash is the dominant e-wallet here in the Philippines. Think of it as PayPal with a point of sale kind of aspect to it. I think like 50% of adults in the Philippines have this wallet. Now, this wallet, most people have onboarded themselves to it, and that means they have not figured out how to make a QR code. So you can see I've got a QR code for one of our businesses here. And what they really do is they've got a ratty piece of cardboard with the owner's phone number on it. And if you want to pay with Gcash, you have to type that number in correctly and put their name in and then send it. So this is not ideal, but it is the dominant form of electronic payment in the Philippines. So first I say we are with a payment system similar to Gcash. The problem with Gcash is it's for Filipino only. They know this is true. And so in sales, we're trying to build a little bit of rapport by saying things that they automatically agree with. That gives us credibility, and it is setting up the pain point of why Gcash isn't very good for their use case, because this island in particular is a tourist destination, and a lot of the money comes from tourists that do not have an electronic wallet that they can accept. Okay, so yeah, we get a lot of foreigners here. And again, they agree with this because they know that is a huge part of the economy here on Boracay. So may I show you a 2-minute demo? We put a time limit on it so they feel comfortable. If we say we want to give a demo, they don't know if it's an hour or anything else. By putting a time limit on there, they feel comfortable. These demos never last 2 minutes unless it goes very poorly, which it never does. But by telling them we're only going to take 2 minutes, they are far, far more willing to say yes. Okay, so an idea in technical demos is that most people do tech demos exactly wrong. They want to talk about all the nitty-gritty, build up from a base layer of knowledge all the way up to a crescendo where something exciting happens. This is exactly the wrong way to do a technical demo. The right way to do a technical demo is click the least amount of buttons so that something amazing happens. So in tech demos, we call this do the last thing first. I want to have something exciting happen in the first 10 seconds. Then you do it again, only slower, where you do it with a little bit more detail, but the exciting thing happens in 30 seconds. Then finally, you can do it in excruciating detail as long as you want the third time. So do it once, do it again, then do it as slow as you want. And this is just a much, much better way of doing technical demos. So my goal is to make a payment in the first 10 seconds of this demo, and this is how I do it. Every business has a printed QR code like this. I print them myself. We have a laminator, and we make these for them. Their username is right there. This username is for the donation site for the island. And I will scan it with Pouch, and then it will say, how much do I want to give? Maybe 100 pesos. And Pouch can read that QR and send it off. And so this takes just a few seconds, and we have done an electronic payment. If you're familiar with electronic payments and QR codes, this is not that exciting. But compared to Gcash, where you've got to type in some phone number that's on a piece of cardboard that they can never remember where it's at, this is actually an innovation. So we've done it as fast as possible. Now we're going to do it again, do it slower. So what about foreigners? So I'm going to use the phone again, and I say, okay, this is the store phone. Because there's a payer and a payee, it's very easy to get confused. So I always make sure I let them know we are the store right now. Okay, so we're the store and we're going to ask for 100 pesos. That is about $2. And I put that in, and now this is a true blue Lightning invoice. The printed ones cannot be Lightning invoices because they are dynamic. So we make a real Lightning invoice here. And then this is the first time that I mention Bitcoin. I tell them if I had another phone, I would scan it, but I don't. So I copy that QR and I say, okay, now a foreigner comes here. They don't have Gcash, but they probably have a Bitcoin wallet. And this is the first time I mention Bitcoin. And so I open up my Bitcoin wallets and I select one, usually Strike, and say, I'm an American, and this is connected to my American bank account. I'm going to pay that invoice that you just made. For you, it's 100 pesos. For me, it's $1.72. I send it, and it instantly, by the time I switch apps and come back, it's already in their wallet. And so what I can tell them here is what you invoice is what you keep. They don't have to worry about fees or exchange rates or anything else, because when you invoice 100, you get 100. And that answers a lot of their objections before they happen. Because if you get the entire amount, none of these things like fees or exchange rates or the value of Bitcoin matter at all, because what you invoice is what you keep. So at this point, when they ask, how do I get my money out? We already know that we have won, because they are envisioning themselves using this and they want to know how to get the money out. So at this point, I'm already thinking, what username are they going to use? Okay, so then I show them that you've got your peso balance here and you want to send it out to a bank. So we say send bank transfer. This is a comprehensive list of every bank in the Philippines, including Gcash and PayMaya, the dominant e-wallets. So I will show them that they can select that and put in their account number and the amount, and that it costs 15 pesos. This is a normal transfer fee for every e-wallet in the Philippines. They are used to it, but I like to point out to them that this is charged by the bank, not by us. For more important businesses, I will actually do a bank transfer right there in front of them. Maybe, send $2 to their bank account if they want, or, $2 to my girlfriend's bank because I can't get a bank here, and show that that works. Or what I can do is send them phone credits to their phone, somehow going from this brand new e-wallet to their phone ringing and saying they just got $1 worth of phone credits makes it real to them. That is real money to them because they now have phone credits that they didn't have before, and it is real. So depending on how much I want to close this particular deal, how I feel about it, I will send them a little bit of cash like that so that they can see it happening. Okay, for the smaller businesses, I will tell them that, selling phone credits is a big deal, and show them that they can choose any carrier, any provider, and sell that. So any money that comes in, they can make an additional 5%, sending it out to someone else. That's why I'm not doing a lot of cash outs. I'm doing cash ins. The next thing I'll do is pull up a map of the island and show them all of the businesses. On the left-hand side, you can see that this is an incredibly crowded map, and that shows just a lot of social proof. Then what I will do is zoom in on their area and show them their neighbors. So if they don't accept now, they will at least know their neighbors. And when a crew comes back later, they'll have talked to their neighbors and find out more about it. And as we're penetrating more of the tourist restaurants, a lot of these owners know each other. And like I just tried one last night, and they're like, oh yeah, Jilla told us about this. We were waiting for you to show up. Great. They already knew. They talked to one of our original businesses. She gave a good review, and we were good to go. I signed them right up on the spot. So it does get easier with time. That's why the first 30 took forever, and the last 150 were very quick. We carry around signage. So we've got Bitcoin accepted here stickers that we will give them so that they can advertise what they're doing. We don't do this really anymore, but at first, when we got a bigger business, I would actually make custom signage for them using their color schemes, using their themes and logos if possible to make it more special. Like this one is one of my favorites, Valhalla. I made that for them, and it's a favorite for tourists to take a picture in front of because it's a cool looking sign. This is one of our tattoo places, and so on. So we were making custom signage for people also. For a lot of our smaller businesses, they do not really care what their username is, and Filipino names are very hard to spell and they're very long. So what I did was I went through the BIP39 word list that those are the words that make up your mnemonic phrase. I chose all the neutral to positive adjectives and neutral to positive nouns, and I just randomly mixed them to get names like good captain, smart boy, nice flower. And I pre-print these QR codes for them and laminate them. So when I go to a small business, a lot of these sorries don't really even have a name. And I'll tell them, hey, just choose one of these pre-printed cards, make that your username. I hand them the pre-printed QR. I hand them a sticker. They've made their account and they are ready to go and accept right now. So that really cuts down on the time. If they choose their own username, then we've got to go print it, laminate it, and bring it back. I'm trying to cut down on the sales cycle. And that is how this woman, her name is Michelle, and she found that there was Hidden Shell as one of the usernames just by chance. So she took that username. Something nice that happens is when we put a new account on Twitter, she has that QR code. Someone on Twitter decoded her username from that QR and sent them to the tip link for her account. And I think she made $100 overnight in tips. That was really nice. That meant that when we went back to that market later, everyone knew about that, and it was much easier to sign up the neighbors that way. So that was a nice thing that happens just kind of randomly. You can't force that, but when it happens, it's nice. So other general ideas that we have in sales is when they say yes, shut up. Once they have agreed that they want this, do not try and sell them harder on it because nothing good can happen from that point on. They have already said yes. Every new sales rep wants to keep talking about how great this is, but they've already said yes. Shut up and get them an account. That happens to me a few times that they're like, oh yeah, Jilla told us about this. Great, demo over, let's sign up. We'll train you on how to use it later, but get them signed up, always be closing. So that's how we do it on Bitcoin Island. I'm also here to promote something else on the island. First, I just want you to come here, support the revolution by spending some sats on this island. But second is we are having a Bitcoin conference, more of a retreat than a conference, and that is at the end of March. And we would really like to get some plebs here to join our conference. It's a little bit different of a conference in that it's all about networking. Has anyone here been to a Bitcoin conference before? No, not a lot. Okay. So what I've noticed at these conferences is that all of the good stuff happens out in the, oh, can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. My headphones just made a funny noise.
That's
Okay.
you, buddy.
Okay. So all the good stuff happens out in the hallways where people mob the speaker afterwards, and there's a conversation out in the hallway. So we wanted to just get to that part. We kind of figure that at any conference, there are probably about 10 connections that you want to make with all the people there. And if you're lucky, you find 2 of those people. So what we're doing is focusing on small group interactions and networking. The first thing that's going to happen at this conference is everyone that I guess is a maker or a doer gets on stage, and they have 45 seconds to say what they are there as an expert in and what expertise they are looking for. 45 seconds, you're up and down. I don't care if you are sailor or if you're me or if you're a Filipino, sorry. Everyone gets 45 seconds to say who they are. This means whoever you're looking for, you are going to know about them very quickly. Next, we are taking a page from speed dating where all the women sit down in a circle and there's an empty chair next to them. Every minute, everyone goes from one person to the next, and you have a 1-minute conversation with that person. Now, with 250 people, we're probably going to have 3 circles, like community, development, business, whatever it is. So the people that were up on stage will be in the appropriate circle, and you have a 1-minute conversation with everyone that you want to have a conversation with. A lot of us are geeky folk that have a hard time just going up into a crowd of people talking and interject and introduce ourselves. But with this structured method, you will have had that 1-minute introduction to everyone that you want to meet on the island. Perfect. Now, we will have some keynotes like any other event, but the main focus of this is going to be birds of a feather. So when you go to pouch.com and click on the menu to retreat, you're going to see our schedule and a wiki page. So if you want to have a conversation about, communities and informal fiat to Bitcoin rails, you could put that down as a topic. And we will have a list of topics that people want to talk about. We're probably going to do this also at registration at the conference. And we will have a big list of what people want to talk about. And we'll say, okay, right now we're having 5 conversations in these 5 areas. And if you want to talk about that, go here. There's not going to be a presentation. There might be an informal MC of that area, but it's just getting all of the people that want to talk about that thing in one area. So there's going to be a lot of birds of a feather talk. And we're also going to have more general topics where there's going to be on stage 5 chairs. 4 people will start off in the chairs. One of them is going to be empty. And the topic might be of general interest, like OGs talk about what they've seen. So people that were in Bitcoin for the first 8 years or something get up on stage and they just start talking about what they've seen over the years. Now, if you want to get up on stage, you just go up and take that 5th chair. And one of the people has to leave. So there's always an open chair. What this means is maybe you've got that 5-minute story that you want to tell that's really important, but you will never get a keynote speech at any of these events. You will never be on stage. Here you can. You have that opportunity to give that 5-minute talk that is of value to a lot of people. And so that is what that stage is for. These will be general interest topics like, why am I bullish? Things like that the entire community would probably have an interest in and probably have something to say. So those are going to be the major kinds of networking events that we have. And then, of course, at night, there's, so many restaurants, so many bars that all of us can just go en masse to and really show that accepting Bitcoin improves your bottom line. We're working with something called light sats they have a way of doing tipping so that you can hand out a tip without having to worry that that will never be accepted. And if they don't ever cash in the tip, you get the money back or the sats back after like 21 days or whatever. So we're working with them. It's a really cool way of tipping sats to people. I'm going to print off hundreds of these, probably like $1 a piece, which is a significant tip here in the Philippines. Tipping is not a thing. And so it's a printed QR code with an explanation, download pouch, scan this code, and you will be able to collect this amount of money. Great. So if we've got 250 people handing these out, that's going to really drive adoption. So that is another thing that we're going to do. If you hand out the tip and no one collects it, then it will go right back into the fund. We'll print off a new one later and try and put that money back out in the economy again. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to be doing. I'm printing off cards that say, hey, we were here to spend Bitcoin. We noticed that your business doesn't accept. Here is the phone number of someone that can sign you up. Give them a call. They'll send someone out to sign you up right away. So we know that some people are going to want to go to a restaurant that doesn't accept Bitcoin, but they can still at least help us onboard by giving these cards out to the businesses that will make it to the business owner and give them a reason to contact me and get them onboarded. So yeah, that is the idea of the retreat. And I really hope some of you can make it. All right, let's chit chat.
If you guys have any questions, guys come off your mic and just ask them. I'll open up the floor for you guys.
Yeah, I have a question real quick. So you said, I forget if you converted 250 to 300 businesses so far. How many businesses in total are on that island?
That is a really hard question to answer. We don't know.
Oh, really?
And the definition of a business is rather nebulous here.
Right.
People make up a business by getting a table, making dinner, and selling it to people. If they do it once, is it a business? If they do it once a week, is it a business?
Yeah.
There are a ton of tiny businesses. Because of this, we actually have 2 maps. Let me pouch. Can you see now? I'm pulling up a web page.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the btcmaps.org. This is kind of where everyone is settling in on listing Bitcoin businesses. Mm-hmm. So this is our current list, but we have the high quality problem of this is so dense that it's actually hard to find businesses. And what I mean by that is if I'm here and I want to find a restaurant,
yeah,
how do I find it? Right. Most areas when you go, there's 10 businesses. You can click on all 10 of them and inspect them all. It's really hard to find all of them here. Mm-hmm. So we put them here for completeness, but we also make these by hand, which are more of the tourist destination ones. Mm. So the first thing when you come here, you're going to want a hotel. These are all hotels that I have a personal relationship with, and we can easily test them. The restaurants, these are the bigger restaurants that have a proven history of accepting Bitcoin. Now, a lot of these smaller businesses, the hair braiders, the souvenirs, and so on, we have signed them up. We have tested them a few times. So we send someone around to go to every business every few months and just see if they actually are accepting Bitcoin. One of the problems that we have is that a lot of these businesses are owned by 2 or 3 people in some structure that is opaque to me, quite honestly. And so one of them might accept Bitcoin, but her sister does not. And there's not a lot of communication. So if you're there when the business owner that we signed up is there, great, they'll accept. If the sister or the cousin is watching the store for the day, maybe they know about it, maybe they don't. So they don't make the big map. It's a nice little hidden treasure when, oh yeah, I remember this, and they use it. So a lot of Filipino, when you go up and ask them, hey, do you accept Bitcoin? They weren't trained on it, even though they're standing right next to a sign that says Bitcoin accepted here. The printed QR code is right there, but they were never trained on it. And the easiest thing to do is to say no or say that it's broken, because they don't want to talk to you anymore. So this is an ongoing problem. These bigger businesses, they've trained their people and so on. But it's definitely ongoing training. We kicked off, you remember some of those slides said 300, and now I'm saying 250. That's because we went through SWEP and we felt that 50 of these little stores were probably not really going to be on board. The other 50 had proven that they were accepting it. So those smaller businesses, the last time we checked, they were accepting it. But you know, you might have to do training on them. But these are small local businesses that tourists are probably not going to go to anyway. But a lot of times you go there and show them, oh, see that QR? Scan it, send them a peso. And they're like, oh, I see. That's the business owner's name. They recognize that in the receipt. And then they're happy to accept it. So training is ongoing. But these businesses, the ones that are tourist oriented, they have all been tested. I basically only go to restaurants on this list. And so I know that they accept. And being more professional, they make sure that everyone knows how to use it. Okay, so, you know, here's our restaurants, here's our coffee houses, services, retail, grocery, produce. You know, if you've ever wanted to buy a fish with Bitcoin, you can do it. You can do it right there. So a lot of people, when you come to the island to cross this channel, it's a lot better if you contact these businesses before you come, because they can arrange someone to pick you up at the airport. They have priority seating on the ferries. There'll be someone to pick you up on the island side and bring you to your hotel. Well worth the 700 pesos to get on the island quickly and efficiently. So, yeah. So you can find this information on the website here. Just go to pouch.ph, Borcay. And right here is retreat. Here's our dates. You can register today for $100, and in a few days we're raising that up. We've got our notable attendees here. That is always growing. One that might be of interest to people is the Dread Pirate Nakamoto. So he comes to the island and he has already deposited 500,000 sats in this address, and his 12 seed words will be hidden at different restaurants, bars, and coffee houses across the island. We'll have a little seashell decoration thing that's very recognizable with the word on it. You can go get that word, buy something from the bar, and you get the word. If you get all 12 of them, you put that into your wallet, and this address has 500,000 sats in it, and it's all yours. So that's just kind of a fun little project that we are doing. So, I see someone wrote to me, is Joel here? Yeah, hey, got your message. I'll respond to it later. So yeah, that is one of the fun things that we are doing for the retreat. And maybe you can't make it for the retreat, but you just want to come to the island. Anyone that comes to the island, let me know. I I give the 5,000 sat tour, maybe get you some coconut wine from one of the locals. And yeah, we just have a good time. We have a weekly meetup here on Saturdays. So anyone that happens to be on the island, we just descend on one of our businesses and spread some sats to them. It really depends how many people are on the island. Right before the holidays, our biggest one was 19 people. But last week there were no tourists on the island. I think it really just depends on tourist schedules. I think people all went home to their families for the holidays, so no one is traveling right now. But I know I've got a tourist here right now, so I'm gonna go have a drink with him for lunch later. And so we definitely will hang out with you guys. We do get digital nomads here. You have decent internet and it's pretty cheap to live here. So if you're thinking of digital nomading for a while, it's a great place to do it. If you're a retiree, great place to live. There are plenty of people that are, living a great life, mostly off of retirement checks. I think you could live very well here for about 1,200 US a month. So it is a very, very inexpensive place to live. Yeah. So come on over to the retreat here, join our Telegram group. And yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, how is security on the island as far as crime and safety is for those? Obviously, there's a ferry coming there. Obviously, potential, Bitcoin doing, these amazing things that we plan on doing. Obviously, there's going to be, people are going to be curious, be cautious of their OPSEC. Obviously,
Sure.
They're going to be trapped on a one way in, one way out kind of basis. So, how is the security on the island amongst itself? And are there, not to sound like too delusional, like pirates? You know what I mean? As I'm not too keen. I'm not too keen, like Somalian pirates. I'm just throwing ideas and just throwing some things out there.
Yeah. So, well, first on the Whale Concierge page here, I actually offer to get personal security for anyone that wants that. That was kind of bait for Max Kaiser, trying to get him to come. When we were in El Salvador, there was a lot of security around us at the event, and a lot of us believe that was all hired by Kaiser. Who knows though? But I've been here for 3 years. I have never ever felt threatened in the least in the Philippines, and especially here on Boracay. Crime is incredibly low here. I've not heard of any, quite honestly. If you go read the state reports, they can be very scary, but the reality on the ground is I'm not worried about it. So I've never felt threatened in the least. And like I said earlier, I probably got 100 pounds and 1.5 feet on everyone here. So I've not worried about it. Myself, I have some special methods for backing up my seed so that even if someone came into the apartment here, they wouldn't find anything of use to them. So I definitely would not travel with my seed phrase if that's what you're asking about. But no, I've never felt threatened in the least at all here.
Now, typically now, how does the conversion just from just a fiat terms from $1 as a composed as compared to their peso?
Yeah, okay. So I believe it's like 53 pesos to the dollar here. To put that in some perspective, that would mean that at a restaurant, a can of Coke is 50 pesos, so a little bit less than $1. The minimum wage here in the provinces is 350 pesos, so that's about $6. You can go out, have a good meal for two for about less than 1,000 pesos, so like $16. You can have a pretty decent meal. If you go to have an alcoholic drink, a lot of times it's 2 for 1 at 250 pesos. So 2 drinks for about $4. Yeah, so that's giving some sense of scale. I think a lot of our hotels come in at about 1,500 pesos a night. So that would be about 25, $30. Is that the kind of scale that you were asking about?
Yes, that kind of nailed it there perfectly. Now, how overall from the businesses that you interact with and the individual vendors, since that term's kind of used loosely there, what has been the reception? Like, is Pouch? I mean, I'll kind of teeter it with a follow up. Is like, is Pouch is it like a custodial or non-custodial wallet for them? Like, how are they like receptive to Bitcoin? Are they like eager, or are they just kind of just using it as a way of just receiving payments and kind of beating around the remittance?
Yeah, so for them, it is just another e-wallet but one that foreigners can use. We do not get into the philosophy of Bitcoin or anything like that at first. Now, some of our bigger restaurants, the ones that can afford to have savings, a lot of these small saris, they accept payment. They need that money for stock and just for living. So they're not going to be hodlers for quite a while. But our bigger businesses, the ones that could just say, hey, any money that I receive in Bitcoin, I'm just going to save that and see what happens. They are asking about, how do I save in Bitcoin? So to me, adoption is a ladder, and just getting a Bitcoin wallet into the hands of a lot of people is well, that's not even the first step. I should say the first step is having a positive outlook on Bitcoin. Here on the island, we have a very well-placed office in the center of town, right across from a big pond, with a giant Bitcoin symbol as our signage. You cannot miss this thing. And so everyone on the island has seen this at this point. They have seen our Bitcoin accepted stickers on 250 businesses that they know, and they probably know a business owner that accepts Bitcoin. So that is step 1 in adoption. Step 2 is getting them to accept Bitcoin as a payment, even though when it comes into Pouch, it is converted to pesos. We used to have Bitcoin balances, but for regulatory stuff, we had to rip the Bitcoin balances out for now. This made us very sad, but as the marketing guy, I'm spinning this as, we believe so much in self-custody that we will not custody for you. You have to send it off to your own wallet from there. So the people that are saving their income from Pouch as Bitcoin, what they can do is choose any self-custodial wallet they want and just send it by Lightning back out to that. So like, the very simple one wallet of Satoshi, when Lazy Dog gets, maybe $50 in Bitcoin, she can just send it to wallet of Satoshi, and she's storing it in the unit of count of sats. So that is definitely happening. The what?
It's similar to Strike then, right?
Yeah, we are very much like Strike.
Right. Got it.
Yep. And so those questions do come in. I know a few of our bigger businesses, Lazy Dog, Two Brown Boys, are asking how to save in Bitcoin. So it is happening slowly, but that's working. We are a custodial wallet, not because we want to be, but because we have banking rails, and that's how it goes. Now, we are not actually the custodian of their pesos for legal reasons. There is a white label bank called NetBank that is set up exactly for operators of payment systems like us. So when they accept Bitcoin, we convert it to pesos and send it to their bank account. Now, they don't really access that bank account other than through us, but for legal reasons, they are the custodians. And then we just encourage them to send it out to Bitcoin as they grow in adoption. So the two, myself and Ethan, we are definitely the hardcore maximalists, and we see this as a necessary compromise to get people up the ladder. If 10 years from now, people are like, why am I using Pouch? Why don't I just use this self-custodial wallet and just accept payments directly? We are delighted. Put us out of business, okay? If we can get us to adoption and then people realize they don't need us later, great. We are training wheels on adoption. That would make us delighted. But we are not there yet, and we will not be there for a while. It is a necessary step along the way. So yeah, you were talking about Strike, and they are interesting. You've seen that they have send globally, where right now Strike can send to 3 African countries, and it will go directly to the bank accounts. Well, they're in the EU is something called Coin Corner, which just like us is very, very similar to Strike. And we have a partnership with Coin Corner where if you're in the EU and want to send to a Filipino, you can just say send globally, Philippines, put in the bank information, and it will go all the way over there instantly with no fees. So there is an open API and we are connected to it. And so we are invisible in the whole remittance corridor, but we are doing that important part of taking the sats and depositing them in a Filipino bank account as pesos. So this is the real problem that Pouch is trying to solve. We are doing retail adoption here because we want to grow the community and the Bitcoin network, but the real problem that we can solve today is remittances. A huge percentage of the Filipino economy is payments from overseas foreign workers. One of the greatest exports from the Philippines is workers. Something like 20-30% of all nurses in America are Filipino. Okay. We get in the Philippines 100 million US dollars a day in remittances. 100 million US dollars a day. Now, if they go through traditional remittance corridors, the average is 7% in fees. So imagine a pile of 7 million US dollars going up in flames every day. That is the current system. We are able to do that that conversion for 1% on the exchange rate spread. So if everyone were to start doing their remittances to the Philippines by us, that would save $6 million US dollars a day. That would increase the GDP of the Philippines by 1%. And what's really nice is that money would be spread out across all of the Philippines, not to one specific group or whatever, but to the families of the people that are out working their asses off across the world to support their families in the Philippines. So this is the real mission that we are going after and why we have to compromise on banking rails right now, because it is the reality of the world we are living in. Yep. So that's our mission.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So is your app like you were kind of showing the demo, is it kind of like a POS system, as in there's like the business owner has a separate login to the employees, or is it just one login?
So this is why I love field testing. You put any software out there and it never survives first contact with the enemy, which is the users.
Right.
Okay. I see someone smiling. You smile like you're a usability person at a software company. I don't know if that's true, but yeah. So one of the big problems with the point of sale systems that are out there right now, like Gcash, is that to accept, they need access to the whole app. And that is a massive security hole. So here, I've just gone to app.pouch.ph/island. Island is a username. It happens to be the username of our donation area for the island, but it could be 2 brown boys or anything else. So actually, let me do that. I'm going to make this 2 brown boys. So I could be a cashier or a waiter at 2 brown boys and say, I'm accepting, 10 pesos. And so as the cashier, they put that in. And now I'm just going to open up Strike if one of you haven't already paid this for me. So I'm going to pay my bill. And for me, that's 19 cents. For them, that's 10 pesos. And there it goes. Should be there in a second. So we see the confetti, we see the confirmation. So that cashier knows that they got paid, yet does not have access to the money. This
So it's
is
your own
a
account, basically.
really good usability thing that you thought of, but it's something that it took field testing to realize this was important. This is a website, it is not an app. So we can go to all their cashiers, all their waitresses, get them to go here once, make the shortcut on their phone, and now they are ready to accept for anyone.
That's genius.
Thank you. A lot of the phones here are very old, and trying to get them to download an app, create an account, blah, 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 can be a real pain. So doing this, we've recently really lowered the memory requirements of this web page so that it loads much quicker. A lot of them do not pay for good internet. The cell network can be a little bit dubious at times if they're not in a good spot. So by lowering the bandwidth requirements, we've made this just much easier for them. This simple web page here, the tip link, has been brilliant for adoption. These QR codes is where we started, and they're nice, but they only work really easily with Pouch. Now, if you were to scan this QR code with a generic QR reader, what you would find is it just goes to this web page right here. That's all that QR code says. But Pouch reads it and says, hey, I know what that is, and just makes the Lightning invoice for it. But if you're another wallet, the absolute worst case scenario is you go into one of these little sorries, no one has their phone ready or whatever. So you can take this, scan it with a QR reader, and go to their tip link, put in the amount, get the Lightning code, and pay it. So, our hardcore Bitcoiners will say, well, now they have to trust that my phone isn't blah, 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 faking the receipt or whatever. This is not a concern in the real world. To give you an idea, a lot of these sorries, there's no one working there. You go grab what you want and figure out what the price is and leave the money on the counter. So, there is the reality of, yes, checking my phone for the receipt is insecure. And then there's the reality that a lot of them, you just walk in and grab what you want and pay anyway. So not our concern in the real world right now.
That's awesome, though.
Thank you.
What was that one
so-
thing? I'm sorry, one other question. What was
Go
that
ahead.
one thing you mentioned earlier? White sats or something for tipping?
Oh yeah, light sats.
White sats? Okay.
See if this loads up. So this is quite brilliant. I've got a bunch of them right here. They're already funded. Skip for now. So, oh wow, they've updated this. So if one of you wants to scan this, is you doing it, Ben?
I'm trying. Does it have to be on just a regular camera or?
You know what? Let me check. I'll try and do it too. Oh, Okay. Oh, that's not the actual card. That was just a sample.
Oh,
Here we go. So this is where people would go. So if they scan this, when they scan that, it's going to go to a website for them, and it says, "Are you ready to withdraw?" So I hand out that printed QR, they scan it, and it goes here. Then with any Bitcoin wallet, like Wallet of Satoshi, I'm going to say receive, scan that, and it says, do you want to receive 61 sats? I don't want to use up the one I've already funded, but that's how that would work. So you could hand these out, it goes to a web page, and then if they've got pouch, they scan this and they've got 61 sats. I would probably make it more, like about $1, so that's worth them going to. We're working with them right now. We have to install some different libraries in pouch so that this all works smoothly, but they're setting it up so that we can put a custom tutorial on there. When they scan that first one, instead of going directly to the download, we can force them through like a few screens of tutorial on what Bitcoin is, and then they can scan this and get the money. So Light Sats is doing a great job here. And it looks like someone scanned that. So enjoy the 61 sats. Someday you can buy a house with it. Good. Yeah. So it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
I think these things will do great. And if you hand them out, what you can do is, yeah, there it is. I can see that it was withdrawn. Great. So here's a bunch of them. Like I can see this one was unseen, and this one was seen but not collected, blah, blah, blah. And if it expires, it just goes back into my wallet, and I can print some new ones up.
That's awesome. I heard of this
Yep.
before, but I actually didn't look into it much. That's pretty cool.
It is really great. One of the things I like about it is we have onboarded a lot of people here on the island. And if we just tell them, hey, download pouch and use it, and I give them 100 sats, or I'm sorry, 100 pesos, they may or may not have done anything with it. But here, there's a little bit of proof of work. They had to download it while I wasn't standing over them to install it. And someone that does that is more likely to use it. And I guess the other thing is, when we were first very excited here on the island handing out tips like that, we didn't have the economy built. But now that we do, I think these tips will go over a lot better. It always makes me happy when I only really shop at my own businesses now. And I'll ask them, what do you do with the money? And they'll be like, oh, we went somewhere and we saw that they accepted Bitcoin, so I paid with Bitcoin for a meal or something. So we're starting to see the slender tendrils of a circular economy showing up. A lot of times I'll go test my souvenir places. So I've got so many souvenirs from this island. I just leave them in the office and give them to people when they show up. Because I just got to buy something whenever I stop to talk to them. And then I ask them, what did you do with the money I gave you last time? And then they'll mention they bought phone credits, or they, went to eat. And a lot of times they go to the smaller places that tourists do not go to. So that's good. Getting those small saris, I don't go to a lot of them unless I happen to be walking by and want water. But they are going to them. So yeah, we just need an injection of sats in the economy. Bitcoin Beach started out with a generous donation from an anonymous user. Here we are relying on the generous purchases of Bitcoiners from around the world. And I think you can have a world-class vacation here and do it only on sats. So that's what we're trying to promote.
That's awesome. And where can I
Thank
donate
you.
then? The it's /island, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, I warn you, this is not a certified for charity with all the legal paperwork. This is just for donations because people were asking, and we only spend this on onboarding. What do you call it? Onboarding with the locals here. So, like when we first created this stack chain on Twitter, they made some generous donations. And what we did at their request, what we did is we doubled the finder's fee for a week on our gig workers for signing up businesses. And that happens to be the week that we did very well on signups. And then before El Salvador, I told them at every milestone along the way, every 50 businesses, that a bigger amount of money went into the pool. And that was very motivating. So that's been the two major initiatives we've done with this. And I suspect now this will probably go into the tip links that we just went with light sats. Whatever comes back will just go to back into this until we get the next initiative. So cool.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
Anybody got a question? You can just come off your mic. Going once, going twice. I think you kind of knocked it out the park. You went in depth and super everything. You definitely opened up my eyes to what you guys got going on down there. It's like I said, everything kind of where, going up from a bottom up approach. And obviously the economy's set up a little bit different there as opposed to, El Salvador, where some people are, the economy seems to be a little bit more established where some of the people, locals, the vendors, they can actually save. And then obviously, this is more of a point of sale. And then, like I said, just used for transaction. And I think it's very beneficial. Obviously, you're trying to jumpstart that movement, which I applaud you. I'm sure it can't be easy. And obviously working off a limited space, due to the dimensions of the island. Like I said, I do have to sit there and give you your flowers. Like I said, it's really tremendous work that you're doing from the approach. Like I said, even just from running a meetup club and trying to onboard businesses. Obviously, you're running a business at the end of the day, but it's definitely commendable on what you're doing. And I definitely appreciate just on behalf of just, as a fellow pleb from one pleb to another. So I definitely appreciate you.
Thank you.
I definitely appreciate you reaching out, and taking the time to kind of go over in depth and in detail about everything about yourself, and then kind of everything I said with the whole movement with Bitcoin Island. And like I said, I had a bunch of stuff that I didn't even know about, and it's definitely raised my eyes. Obviously, I think maybe a little time constraint for some people due to the up closeness of your retreat, but obviously, something, moving forward, if you plan on having more events, obviously, some more lead time, definitely think we can get, help, jettison some people out there. And it sounds like a beautiful place. I definitely have to do some more due diligence on my end and see how I can, help from my end here in Philadelphia.
Something that you guys can do is a lot of people are members of more than one meetup, and getting the word out is difficult. I wrote to, 50 different meetups, and only 3 responded to me. Right now, one of the problems that we're having is people just don't believe this is real. I mean, this is a Bitcoin community that came essentially out of nowhere in the last 7 months, and people just don't believe it exists, quite honestly. So the more people that are coming and blogging and talking about it and saying, yeah, we've seen this is real, the better it gets. So if you, I've tried to join Telegram and Discord groups, but any of them that you can find with Google are all absolute trash. They are spam-filled hellholes. But a lot of you are parts of Telegram and Discord groups about Bitcoin that came up more organically around a region or a product or something like that. And I can't find those without you. So my email is bill@pouch.ph, bill@pouch.ph. If you are part of any group that I can talk to, that I can get in on their Discord, on their Slack, whatever it is, invite me. If I'm already part of it, great. I don't care. We are trying to get 250 plebs here. I told the CEO I think I can get 100, and CEOs are supposed to push us. So 250 is a scary big number for me. So getting to come out and talk, get on podcasts, get on meetups, Discords, that all helps. So just send me an email with how I can get there. Introduce me to people. That's really how you can help.
Do you have a Twitter?
Yeah. We are Bitcoin Island PH.
Yeah, I can talk to about. I don't know if are you in the grassroots Telegram group?
I am not. That sounds like a great one to be in, though.
Okay, it's all for it's just a Telegram group for all Bitcoin only meetup, just founders. I can definitely talk to my contact there, and we can kind of get you in there so you can kind of spread your word to some of these Bitcoin only focused groups. We all met up back in September of last year in Nashville, and Bitcoin Magazine sponsored.
Oh, this is the Nashville group. You guys, we hear a lot about you guys.
Yeah, so it's just like it's just one big Telegram with just all different founders all over the U.S. So like I said, yeah, we'll definitely I'll talk to Rod and we'll try to get you all plugged in there so you can kind of help get the word out for what you're doing. Like I said, I think on behalf of just everybody on the Philadelphia Bitcoin Club and myself, I definitely appreciate you, and I'm truly thankful for all the work that you're really doing. You're help pushing the needle, and you're really doing it from obviously, you're doing it from the kindness of your heart because you think you can benefit people. So, I applaud you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And if you can send my contact information out to the group, spam me with information. So, all right. I will catch you guys later.
All right, you're gonna have to switch over to the host. Switch me back to the host.
Okay. Yeah. I
go to participants.
Yep.
And then I'll reclaim host.
Oh, there you go. Did you get it?
Yep, I got it.
All right,
buddy.
Thank you, and I'll get back to you, Joel, pretty quick on your email. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.